Let's start with the basic concept. That is the first chapter in our study material, basic concept. Let's now focus on the notes. So before going further into the lecture, I firstly want you all to download the notes plus the format book from the Telegram group. The link for the Telegram group is in the description below. Okay, so we are starting with direct tax first. So let's understand the basic concepts of taxation, that is direct tax. Okay, so what does tax basically means? You may already know what does tax means, that tax is paid to the government. Okay, let's understand it in a proper manner. So as I have already written, you can read it, but let me explain it to you. Okay, tax is collected by the government for meeting the common welfare expenses of the society. In other words, we can say that tax is considered as a cost of living in the society. So why tax is collected by the government? To meet the common welfare expenses of the society. It is as good as the maintenance charges we pay in the society, whichever society we live in. Okay, so tax is similar to the maintenance charges. In other words, tax can be called as the cost of living in the society. That is, whatever benefits that the government is providing us, utilizing that benefits, we are paying cost for that benefits. Okay, tax, the word tax was very easily used, and it was said that it is paid to the government, money is paid to the government, but this is the exact meaning of tax. Okay, I hope you understand what does tax mean. Let's move on to direct tax. What does direct tax means? Okay, direct tax is levied on SSE who has earned the income. What does this word SSE means? Okay, the word SSE means a person who earns the income and pays taxes to the government under Income Tax Act. SSE means the person. What does the person mean? Okay, so the person's definition is given here. Okay, so again, let me make you all understand what does SSE means. SSE means a person who earns the income and pays the taxes to the government under the Income Tax Act. Who all are the persons? Persons includes individual, that is male, female or human being. HUF means Hindu Undivided Family. Company means domestic company or non-domestic company. Domestic company means the company registered in India, and non-domestic company means the company is not registered in India. So for this, the major concepts are in CA final. At IPC level, this does not plays a major role. Okay, firms means the firms which are registered under Indian Partnership Act, that is IPA 1932, or Limited Partnership Act 2008. Okay, AOP BOI. What does AOP and BOI means? AOP means Association of Person. BOI means Body of Individual. Okay, local authorities means municipal authorities, the local municipal authorities in your state. Okay, so such authorities are also to pay tax of whatever income they earn. Artificial judicial person means God Murti. Like for example, Ganesha's murtis or Lord Balaji's murti, we go in such temples, okay, and there we do some donation. So donation is also kind of an income, but the God's murti is not a human being, right? We have a faith in God's murti, right? So paying or donating to such artificial person, that is artificial judicial person, is also considered as a person. It is also considered in the definition of the person. I hope this is quite clear. Let me make you understand which is the important person at IPCC level. So in IPCC level, these two are important. Okay, so that means this all, not the seventh one, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth company, firm, AOP, BOI, and local authority. This is majorly part of CA final. At IPC level, we are majorly concerned about individuals. So individual and artificial person goes hand in hand. Okay, because it is said as artificial judicial person, it is as good as human beings only. Okay, so in CAPC level we have to concentrate on individual, HUF and artificial judicial person. At CA final level this all will be there. Okay, so now let's focus on individual, HUF and artificial judicial person. The entire CA IPCC is based on individual, HUF and artificial judicial person. Okay, I hope I have made it quite clear to you right now. Just we need to learn the rates of taxes for company, firms, AOP, BOI and local authorities. Okay, just we need to learn the rates for MCQ purpose, and there will be no sums on such persons. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. Let me show you the flow again. Okay, direct tax is levied. Levied means charged. Okay, I'll write here for your simple understanding, charged in bracket. Okay, direct tax is levied on the assessee who has earned the income. The burden of direct tax, that means who will pay. Burden means who will pay. The burden of direct tax is to be bared by the person earning the income. Bared means who has to suffer. Okay, the burden of direct tax is to be bared by the person earning the income. Okay, the burden of direct tax cannot be shifted. Example of direct tax is Income Tax Act. So basically in direct tax we are going to study Income Tax Act only. So I hope you understood what is direct tax. Let me summarize it once again. Direct tax is levied on the assessee who has earned the income, and such direct tax will be paid from the income earned by the assessee. That means whatever income he has earned, he'll pay taxes out of that income. For example, he has earned an income of rupees 1 lakh or 10 lakh. So out of this 10 lakhs, he has to pay the taxes. Okay, this 10 lakhs includes all the income. Whatever income he has earned from different sources, it will be included in this 10 lakhs. I hope I have made it clear what does direct tax means. So now we are moving into major part of direct tax. In income tax, we have a concept of previous year and assessment year. So before understanding previous year and assessment year, let me make you understand why these two concepts has emerged. So you may be aware of the financial year concept. Okay, financial year starts from 1st April. I am taking financial year 1920. Okay, for better understanding. Financial year starts from 1st April 2019 and ends on 31st March 2020. So here the assessee earns the income, say rupees 10 lakhs. So the assessee has earned the income of rupees 10 lakhs from 1st April 2019 to 31st March 2020. I hope this is quite clear. So till the last day, that is till 31st March 2020 also, the assessee has earned the income which is included in this 10 lakhs. I hope you are getting it. So in order to give the assessee some time, the government has given a period of 6 months to individuals to assess their income. Assess their income. Assess means calculate their income. Assess their income for financial year 1920 and file the return plus pay taxes. So 6 months, that means from the for the financial year 1920, after 6 months or up to 6 months, I'll write here up to 6 months for better understanding. Up to 6 months, that comes to 31st July, wait, 31st July 2020. So the assessee has to assess the income and file the return plus pay the taxes up to 31st July 2020. I hope this is quite clear. So you have already understood that the assessee has earned the income in the financial year 1920, but the assessee is paying taxes in the year 2021. I hope this is quite clear. So here the concept of previous year and assessment year comes in place. So our financial year will become the previous year, and the assessment year will be 2021. What does assessment year and previous year means? So let's read the definition now. This definition is not hard and fast definition. In exam, no definitions will be asked. Take it from me, because there are many good questions to be asked in exam. Now already the weightage of direct tax is 60 marks. So there are many good questions to be asked. If asked in MCQ, I don't think institute will act so silly by asking such easy questions, because even if asked, it will be asked for 1 marks. Okay, and every student will by default write a right answer. Okay, so let's understand this previous year. Previous year is a year in which the assessee earns the income. Previous year that is applicable for November 2020 exams is previous year 2019-20. So that means the previous year is the financial year. Okay, so in the previous year, but in exams you can't write financial year, you have to write previous year and assessment year. Okay, so previous year is the year in which the assessee earns the income. And what does assessment year means? That is AY. Assessment year is the year in which assessee pay the taxes for the income earned in the previous year. So it is quite clear this is the previous year, and this is the year in which the assessee is paying the taxes, that is 2021. Okay, so in 2020-21, that is the assessment year, the assessee will pay the taxes for the income earned in the previous year 2019-20. I hope this is quite clear. So the assessment year that is applicable for the November 2020 exams is assessment year 2020-21. I hope this is quite clear to you all. So we have understood what does previous year means, what does assessment year means. So we have also understand what does assessee means. I have written assessee here. Assessee, I have already told you, I am just going in the flow. Assessee means the person who earns the income and pay the taxes to the government under the Income Tax Act. And assessee means a person. Person means what? Person includes individual, HUF, company, firm, AOP, BOI, local authority, artificial judicial person. Whatever I have written here is for your understanding. Okay. Major part is this much only. Till here only. Okay. If in exam question is asked, give a definition of person, what does a person means under Income Tax Act, you can write this much only, that is sufficient enough. Okay, what does assessment means? Okay, what does assessment means? Assessment is the process by which the income of the assessee is determined by the assessing officer. Okay, basically assessment means assessment procedure, and it is majorly covered in CA final. You will be hardly asked any question at IPC level. So you all do not worry what does assessment means, but you should know the word assessment. Okay, because they have given this as a part of important definition in basic concept. Okay, assessment means, basically understand this, while giving the exam you write the questions and the answers in your answer sheets. Okay, so who checks your paper? The examiner checks the paper. So basically he is assessing your paper. Okay, so that process is known as assessment. So in simple words, you write the exam, the paper corrector corrects your paper. So correcting the paper, the process is known as assessment. So basically from income tax point of view, understand it in this manner. Assessment is a process where the assessing officer, that means the income tax authority, checks whether assessee has properly calculated his income and further arrived at a proper tax figure. Okay, so basically assessment is a process where assessing officer, income tax authority, will check whether you have followed the proper process as per the Income Tax Act and income tax rules. Okay, I hope this is quite clear to you. So this was some important concept that you should be aware before studying direct tax. Okay, I hope this is quite clear. So we have understood what does tax means, what does direct tax means, what does previous year means, what does assessment year means. This is the explanation for assessment year and previous year, how it is linked. Okay, we have understood what does SSE means, what does person means, and what does assessment means. Okay, so let us look into the ICS study material. Okay, so this is the chapter overview. Trust me, do not read it right now. If you don't have a physical copy of the ICS study material, you can download the PDF from the ICS website. Okay, if you don't know how to download from the ICS website, don't worry. This particular PDF, I'll be linking it in my description below, so you can download it straight from there. Okay, but keep in mind, direct tax is a very simple subject, but if you study it straight from the module, you will find it little difficult, because they have shown something in advance only which they should not show in basic concept. Just like this, steps for computation of total income, this is not needed in basic concept right now. Firstly, you need to go through this process: determination of residential status, classification of income under different head. There are 5 different heads that you need to study. Then computation of income under each head. There's 5 heads. Of these 5 heads, we need to compute the income under each head. Then clubbing of income, this is also an important chapter. Set off and carry forward, this is also an important chapter. Computation of gross total income, deduction is again altogether a different chapter. Then we come to computation of total income. If you simply read it right now, you will find what is all this. So better right now, do not read all this. Okay, so don't worry about this. In important definitions, we have studied the definition of the assessee. We have studied what does assessment means. We have studied what does person means. We have studied assessment here. We have studied previous year. Here they have given income as a part of important definition. Trust me, do not read it. You will completely lose whatever you have studied right now, because it is something that you should read after completely studying direct tax. That is the one cycle of direct tax, and then read this income definition. Then you'll able to link, okay, this particular income is under this head, this income is under that head. Otherwise, if you study it right now, you will feel, oh, there are so many incomes that I have to remember. But trust me, you don't need to remember any income. I'll make you understand the stuff so that you are easily able to recognize, oh, this income is coming under this head, oh, this income is coming under this head. Direct tax is something very practical subject, but it is linked to theory. Okay, it is kind of a law that we need to remember, because direct tax has lot of sections and rules. We need to be aware of the sections and the rule to practically apply and calculate the income of the assessee. When you become a chartered accountant after clearing your CA final, any clients comes to you, you have to assess his income, you have to calculate his income, right? So you will be very much capable of doing that after studying this and after knowing all the sections and the rules given under the Income Tax Act and the income tax rules. Okay, so I have already told, will not study income right now in the definition. You have to read it. I'll write it. Read it after the first read and understanding of Income Tax Act 1961 plus Income Tax Rules 1962. Okay, so after having the understanding of this at least once, then you come and read the income, you will easily understand it. Okay, the definition of the word India, this is not so much important, but we'll see what it is. Just read it once, reading once only. So we should be aware what does India consist of under Income Tax Act. Okay, so now only important definition left is MMR, that is maximum marginal rate, and AR, average rate. So we'll go on that page and I'll explain you what does MMR means and how to calculate it. So components of income tax law. As I told you, income tax is also kind of law. Okay, so what does it consist of? It consists of Income Tax Act 1961. It consists of Annual Finance Act. What does this mean? I'll explain you. Just wait, let me read it out. Income tax rules, circulars, notification, legal decision. So what all we need to study, that only I'll tell you, but let me first strike out which all things we don't need to study at CA IPCC level. Legal decisions means case laws. Okay, these case laws form part of CA final majorly. Okay, only hardly one or two case laws we have to study at IPC level. So don't worry about this legal decisions. We only study one or two case law which is of uttermost important of IPCC level. Okay. Secondly, circulars and notification. Circulars and notification is also part of CA final, but only one or two circulars will study and will make it a part of our section only, so that you don't need to study that circular and notification separately. Okay, so we don't need to study this, we don't need to study this, we don't need to study Annual Finance Act also. What does Annual Finance Act mean? Basically it is budget which is announced by finance minister every year. Okay, this is basically miscellaneous topic. I hope you all are noting this part at least. You do not copy this notes, because this notes will be available in a PDF form in the Telegram group. Okay, so you just copy this much whatever I am writing in the study material. Okay, so Finance Act is also not a part of our syllabus. Basically our syllabus consists of Income Tax Act 1961 and Income Tax Rule 1962. Okay, please take that much. We'll study Income Tax Act. Now I can't define you how it is Income Tax Act, what all sections are there in it, but institute has tried to do that, but I don't think that is important. Well, anyway, we study after the first cycle, you just read it, you will understand, okay, this section is there, this section is in this particular head, I have studied this. Okay, and rules also. So this we don't need to study it right now. We are here, important definition. This assesses definition over here is a definition that is really needed at CA final level. You will study this definition in detail there in assessment procedure chapter. So we do not need to stress it over here. Okay. Few things you have to study at other level. This level you just are introduced to direct tax. Okay. But then also you are being introduced to a very long concepts and very important concept at IPCC level. At CA final, same concept will be there also, but at an enhanced level. Okay. Assessment also we have studied, person also we have studied. Okay, so see, this is the diagrammatic representation given by ICAI. Okay, so here they have again explained what does individual means, what does HUF means, and have taken consumed a lot of pages, but we don't need to study all that right now. Few things we have to study at CA final level, and that should be studied at CA final level only. See, income's definition, only this income definition runs in 2 pages, not also 2 pages, 2.5 pages. Okay, any which ways, after completing all this, you will be after completing entire direct text, you will be able to understand what is all this. See, they have given reference also. For detail, refer chapter 5, income from other sources. Okay, this is also a part of heads of income. Okay, it is one of the heads of income. So don't worry, well, as and when we are moving ahead, you will come to know everything. But be patient. Now you will be feeling, oh, this lecture is very slow. But the concept that have we already discussed, that forms a base for the direct text. Okay, we are searching. Okay, see here the definition of India is given. You can read it once, but they'll never ask in the exam. Okay, I'll read it once for you all. What does India means? The term India means the territories of India as per Article 1 of the Constitution. So this does not forms part of our syllabus. Okay, so it is just an extract, kind of an extract. It's territorial waters, seabeds, subsoil underlying such waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone EEZ, and any other specified maritime zone and the airspace above its territories and territorial waters. Specified maritime zone means the maritime zone as referred to in the territorial water, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone and other maritime zone Act 1976. We are not studying this act, we are only studying Income Tax Act 1961 only, not this act. If you want, you can strike it off. Okay, but you just need to be aware what all is included in India. I don't think they'll ask an MCQ on this, because there are many good questions to ask on MCQ. Okay, you already know the bifurcation, how the 60 marks paper is divided into MCQ and theory plus practical. So wasting marks on this, institute will not take a chance, because see, it is not of that much important right now at your level. Okay, what does MMR means and what does average tax means? Firstly, we'll start with maximum marginal rate. Okay, what does this means? Okay, so see, here it is already written, applicable in relation to the highest slab of income in case of an individual, AOP, BOI, as the case may be. So I told you AOP and BOI specifically at CA final level. At IPC level there are no questions. Okay, IPC level no questions, so don't worry about that. But I'll show you how to calculate MMR. Okay, so see, MMR is equal to highest slab rate. The highest slab rate for individual is 30%. Don't worry, we are going to study the slab rates in a minute or so, but understand this first. 30% is the highest slab rate, plus the highest surcharge applicable is 37% plus 4%, that is HEC. This is slab, this is surcharge, SC means surcharge, this is HEC, health and education cess. Okay, so how to calculate this? So it is not 30 plus 37 plus 4, which comes to around 71%. So 71% is not the right answer. The way to calculate this is, see, 30 plus 37% plus 4% is equal to 42.75. 0.44%. This is the maximum rate of tax the government of India can charge for income tax. Okay, maximum income tax payable is 42.744%. Not a single digit higher from this rate can be paid to the government of India. Okay, if the Income Tax Act is properly followed. I hope this is quite clear to you. What does MMR means? Mark it important for MCQ, because I think on MMR they can ask an MCQ, because there is a difference of point. They can change the points in the decimals like 42.75% or something like that, but always remember the way to remember the rate of MMR is 30% plus 37% plus 4%, and calculate it on your calci. Do not memorize, definitely you will forget. Okay, but because there are many good things to memorize, do not waste your memory on this. What does average rate of income tax means? This is very simple. You have already studied how to calculate an average rate, average of anything. Basically this is income tax payable, final income tax payable divided by total income into 100 is equal to average rate of tax. I hope you all are noting all the things whatever I am writing in the study material, because this is important. You should write only this much thing you need to write. Otherwise these notes are all pre-written and it will be given to you in a PDF from the Telegram group. So don't worry about that. Just write this much. Okay, I'm giving you time to write this. Average rate of tax is not at all important, but there is a concept, that's why I'm making you understand. Okay, so what is income tax payable, what is total income, you will any which ways come to know about this as and when we are moving ahead. Okay, so I hope I have cleared this definition stuff. Let's go on to the summary. So we have completed MMR as well as AR also. So we have completed this. We don't need to study this right now. We have completed this also, important definitions. And now let's move to rates of income tax. This is where the Income Tax Act is actually starting. Okay, we have studied the basic concept like previous year, assessment year, that is utmost important. Then we have studied assessee also, that is also utmost important person. Assessment is not important at your level but at CA final level. Okay, so I am trying to concise my note as much as possible and trying to concise the video lectures also as much as possible, so that it does not consume lot of your time, because itself direct tax is a huge, it's like an ocean. What we know is something like a drop, but after completing CA final you'll come to know what this income tax actually is. I'll be making you like this much compatible that after clearing this IPC level, whenever you go in articleship, your principal, that is your CA under whom you are registered, will not criticize you that you don't even know this, you don't even know that. So I'll be adding revision videos also. I'll be adding a tag of revision video so that you can simply view the video and revise it. You don't need to listen the entire full-fledged lecture. Okay, I'm trying to cover the syllabus in a compact manner in a time frame of a revision lecture, so that it do not consume a lot of time of the students. Okay, any which ways November exams are soon, so let's move ahead now. Okay, let's understand the rate of income tax. So this is the notes. Now let's move to the format book. In this is the format book. Okay, so I'll give a reference here. First of all, rates of income tax. Okay, individual slab rate, refer format notes, format book notes. Okay, so let's move into format book. So this is the basic concepts format. Okay, so we will first understand the rates of taxes. It is also known as slab rate for individuals. Okay, so whatever I have written it in a format manner, I'll make you understand after I make you understand all this. Okay. So let's understand this. This is known as slab rate for individual. So there are three slab rates for residents and there is only one slab rate for non-resident individuals. Okay, I'm talking about individuals specifically. Okay, I'll write it here also for individuals. Okay, that is male, female and human beings. Okay, so let's understand. So if you have noticed, I have said resident. You by now you know what does SSE means. SSE means a person who is earning the income. So if SSE is resident and age is up to 59 years old, so he has this slab rate. So what is the slab rate? Up to first 2,50,000 of his income, he does not need to pay any tax. That is nil rate. For the next 2,50,000, that is from 2,50,000 to 5 lakh of his income. For example, if an assessor's income is 4 lakh, then up to first 2,50,000 he needs to pay zero tax. That 2,50,000, that first 2,50,000 is also known as basic exemption limit. So that's why it is written in orange BEL. So above 2,50,000 up to his total income, for example his income is 4 lakh, above 2,50,000 his total income total taxable income is 1,50,000. That how I have calculated 4 lakhs minus basic exemption limit. 4 lakhs minus basic exemption limit is 2,50,000. 4 lakh minus 2,50,000 is equal to 1,50,000. So for 1,50,000 he needs to pay tax of 5%. Okay, I hope I have made it clear. But what if the assessor's income is supposed to say 6 lakhs? So for first 2,50,000 he needs not to pay any tax. For the next 2,50,000, that is over and above 2,50,000, but up to 5 lakhs the income is 2,50,000. On this 2,50,000 he needs to pay a tax of 5%. For the remaining income that is above 5 lakhs, so will come under this slab from 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs. That is for the 1 lakh he has to pay a tax of 20%. Okay, I am making it sound little complicated right now, but when I'll solve it over here, you'll understand it. So just basically understand this slab. So over and above 10 lakhs of the income, the assessee has to pay a tax of 30%. Let's try an illustration. If the assessee's income is supposed say 4 lakh. Okay, so for first slab 1, 2, 3, 4. For the first slab, the assessee need not to pay any tax. Okay, for first 2,50,000, it is the basic exemption limit. For example, understand it right now, right here. If any SSC, if any person, for example, you as a person, you earn an income up to 2,50,000, you don't need to pay any tax to the government of India. Okay, you don't need to pay any tax under Income Tax Act. Okay, but as soon as you cross the income about 2,50,000, you need to pay a tax. Okay, so let's understand this. An SSC's income is, for example, 4 lakh. So for first 2,50,000 he does not need to pay any tax. For about 2,50,000 he needs to pay tax. About 2,50,000 how much he has earned? 4 lakh minus 2.5 lakh comes to 1,50,000 into 5%. How to calculate this on Calci? See, 1,50,000 into 5% is equal to 7,500. That means the tax payable by the assessee is 7,500. Okay, there is a concept of health and education says what it is will come to know after completing this slab rates. Okay, so if you have understood, if the assessee earns the income of 4 lakhs, he'll have to pay a tax of 7,500. Okay, let's suppose if the assessee earns the income of rupees 6 lakhs, how much tax he has to pay? For first 2,50,000 he need not need to pay any tax. Over and above 2,50,000 he needs to pay tax. So over and above 2,50,000 what he has earned up to 5 lakh of his income, that is 2,50,000 he has to pay tax of 5%. That comes to around 12,500. I'll show you on Calci also. See, 2,50,000 into 5% is equal to 12,500. Okay, so over and above 5 lakh of his income he has to pay the tax of 20%. up to 10 lakhs. Okay, so see, he has 6 lakhs income. Over and above 5 lakh, he has earned an income of 1 lakh. On this 1 lakh, he has to pay tax at the rate 20%, which comes to around 20,000. Hope this is clear. We'll write it here under the slab 20,000. Since his income is not crossing 10 lakhs, so this will come dash. So that means his total tax is coming to around 32,500. There is a concept of health and education says, but wait, we'll come to it later. First, let's understand this basic things first. What if the assessor's income is about 10 lakhs, say suppose 12 lakhs. So for first 2,50,000 he needs to pay tax. For the next 2,50,000 he needs to pay a tax of 12,500. For the next 5 lakhs, so this is next 2,50,000, next 5 lakh of his income. This is over and above 10 lakhs. So for the next 5 lakh of his income, he has to pay a tax on 5 lakh into 20%, which comes around 1 lakh rupees. Okay. Over and above 10 lakh, he is earning 2 lakhs. Okay. So this 2 lakhs, so how it will be? See, 12 lakhs minus over and above 10 lakhs into 30%, which is equal to 2 lakh into 30%, which comes to around 60,000. I hope this is quite clear. That means his total tax comes to around 1,72,500. I hope this is quite clear to you all. So I have explained you how to use the slab rates. But there is important thing, this. If the assessee is resident. Now I'll not explain you with an example. Now we'll rush into our concepts. Okay. Let me erase this also. This is known as, I'll write it here, slab rates. Okay, let's understand now. So what does a resident means? There is an entire chapter named as residential status, which is upcoming in the next video. So wait for that. Now for time being, understand this. Okay, if the assessee is a resident and his age is up to 59 years, this is 59, okay, not 51. If the assessee's age is 59 years and if the assessee is the resident, assessee means the person, means an individual. If an individual is a resident and his age is up to 59 years, then this is the slab rate. Okay, till here, this is the slab rate for the assessee whose age is 59 years and who is a resident. What if the assessee is a resident and his age is between 60 to 79 years? That means senior citizen. If the assessee is senior citizen, if his age is between 60 to 79 years, so this is the slab rate. That is, his basic exemption limit will be 3 lakh instead of rupees 2,50,000. You can see it here. His basic exemption limit is 3 lakhs. Okay. So the next slab is from 3 lakh to 5 lakh. That is next 2 lakhs, next 5 lakhs, and over and above 10 lakhs. Okay, so this is a slab for the assessee who is resident and whose age is between 60 to 79 years old. Okay, so in this range 60 and 79 years is also included. Okay, so if the assessee is resident and age is between 60 to 79 years old, then this is the slab rate. Okay, so if you notice, the rate of the slab is same, but the slab amounts are changing. See, amount is basically the change is here in this two slabs, first and second. That is the basic exemption limit. If you are from the age limit of 60 to 79, you get an exemption limit of 3 lakhs. But if you are up to 59 years, you get basic exemption limit of 2,50,000. That means you will be not charged any tax up to the basic exemption limit. Okay, in income tax they call it in a very fancy term that the income not chargeable to tax. This basic exemption limit in income tax is also known as income not chargeable to tax. Okay, so this is very fancy. At times students get confused, but if I write basic exemption limit, so basic exemption limit, you immediately strike that, oh, basic exemption limit means I don't need to pay tax up to this limit. Okay, basic exemption limit is also a word that is used in income tax, but they prefer using the word that income not chargeable to tax. Okay, because it makes the act little complicated and only understandable to only few person like chartered accountants, income tax consultants, and not to every layman. If every layman understands it, what is the use of us chartered accountants and the tax consultants? Okay, right? Hope you understand what I'm trying to say. This video basic concept is going little slow, but don't worry, it needs to gone slow. Many of times I have seen at CA final level also, student goof up over here, 59 years, 60 years, 80 years, okay, resident, and basically they goof up over here, they miss out the basic exemption limit also. Okay, so be that much competent enough that you do not forget the slab rates. Okay, slab rates are very much important. This is like the basics of direct tax. Okay, let's move ahead. I hope you have understood the second in type, that is if the assessee is resident and the age is between 60 to 79 years, that means he is a senior citizen, then his basic exemption limit is 3 lakhs. Let's move on the third type, that is if the assessee, remember this, if the assessee is resident and his age is 80 years and above, then his basic exemption limit is 5 lakh. That is, he will be not charge any tax for the first 5 lakh of his income. That means up to 5 lakh he'll charge nil. Over and above the income of 5 lakh up to 10 lakhs he will be charged 20% of his income, and over and above 10 lakh of his income he will be charged 30%. I hope this is quite clear to you. Okay, I have explained 3 types of slab rates for individual, that is assessee who is a resident. Okay, so we'll understand it now again. I'll just revise it in a speedy manner so that you understand it. Then we'll move on to health and education cess. This format book is for your last minute revision. You may be seeing it, your surcharge is there, health and education cess is there. This is for your last minute revision, but now for explaining the basic things I need to go slow. Okay, so you will be thinking why I have written surcharge here, health and education cess over here, but don't worry, this is for your last day. Okay, I am making your life little easy by writing notes myself only, so that you do not waste your time writing your notes, and whenever you get the lectures and the note, you can complete it in a speedy manner. Okay, let's revise it. There are 3 types for the assessee who is resident. First type is if the assessee is resident, we'll take it like this. Okay, I'll erase it from here. See, wait, if the assessee is individual and resident, there is 3 types. Okay, type 1, aged up to 59 years, aged between 60 to 79 years, aged above 80 years. Okay, so let's go there. In the first type, the slab rate starts from first 2,50,000 is nil. For the next 2,50,000, the tax rate is 5%. For next 5 lakh of the income is 20%, and over and above 10 lakhs, income tax rate is 30%. For the second type, that is between the age of 60 to 79, between includes the age 60 as well as 79 also. Okay, do not exclude it. So the basic exemption limit in type 2 is 3 lakh nil rate. For the next 2 lakh 5%, for the next 5 lakh 20%, over and above 10 lakh 30%. Third type is if the assessee is resident and age is over and above 80 years. For that means 80 years is also included here. If the assessee is aged 80, then this slab rate will come. Okay, it will not shift on to type 2 and type 1. Okay, do not forget this. Up to first 5 lakh, the tax rate is nil. For the next 5 lakhs, 20%, over and above 10 lakhs 30%. I hope this is quite clear. So what if the assessee is non-resident? Okay, so this is type 4. Wait, now I have written about here individual and resident. What if individual and non-resident? So there only one type is there. So let's see that. I'll erase this. If you want, you can write it in your notes, but basically I don't think you need to write all this. Okay, I've already made in this format book, so you don't need to write it again. It will be overlapping. So what if, see, I have written it here with a different color also. If SSC is non-resident, then we don't need to see his age. Then we don't need to divide him into types. That is normal citizen, senior citizen, and this person is known as super senior citizen. This is type 3. Here, even if the assessee is super senior citizen, his slab rate will be this only. So if the assessee is non-resident, then irrespective of his age, whether he is normal citizen, senior citizen or super senior citizen, his tax rate and the slab rates will be, for the first 2,50,000, that is the basic exemption limit, nil. For the next 2,50,000, the tax rate will be 5%. For the next 5 lakh, it will be 20%. For the over and about 10 lakh of his income, it will be 30%. I hope this is quite clear to you all. Okay, so let's move and understand what does this means. Health and education cess. Health and education cess is something that we have to pay over and above this slab rates. Okay, so let me make you understand. So for example, if the SSC is type 2 SSC, okay, and his income is suppose say 12 lakhs, okay, for first 3 lakh he does not need to pay any tax, that comes to nil. Okay, his total income, TI means total income. Okay, for first 3 lakh he does not need to pay any tax. For the next 2 lakhs he need to pay 5% of the tax, that comes to around 10,000. For next 5 lakh he needs to pay 20% of tax, that comes to around 1 lakh. For over and above 10 lakh of the income, which is 2 lakh, on this 2 lakh we need to pay 30%, so that comes to around 60,000. So his in all total of tax comes to around 1,70,000. But on this 1,70,000 he needs to pay a 4% additional tax, that is health and education cess. So on 1,70,000 we'll calculate 4%, which is equal to 6,800, and his final tax liability that he has to pay to the government of India comes to around 1,76,800. I hope this is quite clear. So I hope you have understood this. You have understood two things here, the slab rate and HEC. Okay, so I'll erase this thing from here because already I have shown it in the format. I don't need to keep it over here and make the notes overlapping or bulky. Okay, so this format is complete. Okay, so what is surcharge? I'll explain you surcharge in the upcoming video, so don't worry about that in this video only, as and when we move ahead. So here I have written an important note. So what is this note? This note is basically the circular and notification. We have already read here. See, circular and notification at CA final level. But I told you there is exception 1 or 2 we need to study at IPCC level, not all. So out of that, this is the circular. Okay, if the 60th/80th birthday of the SSC, that means the person falls on the first day of the assessment year of the AY, then the age of such SSC will be 60. I'll write it here, 60 or 80 for that previous year. Now let me explain it to you here. For example, Mr. Ram is having his birthday, that is 60th birthday, on 1st April 2020. The relevant previous year is 2019-20 and relevant assessment year is 2020-21. So you can recognize it from here that Mr. Ram is having his 60th birthday on 1st April 2010. That means for the previous year 2019-20 his age is 59 years. But income tax has clarified via issuing a circular that if this SSC is having his birthday on the very first day of the assessment year, then this SSC will be considered, that means Mr. Ram will be considered as 60 age for the previous year 2019-20. Similarly, if Mr. Ram is having his birthday, that is the 80th birthday, I say 80th birthday on 1st April 2020, that is in the assessment year 2021, then for the previous year 1920, he will be considered as 80 years old. Okay, not 79 years old. Why this benefit has been given with the clarification? Because as and when there is a change in the age, see, there is change in the age, then he gets the benefit of basic exemption limit. He gets a higher exemption limit. He needs to pay less tax. Understood? So see, if he is 59 years old in previous year 2019-20, but his birthday is falling on the very first day of 2021, that is the assessment year, then he will be considered as 60 years. So he will be not applicable with this slab rate. This slab rate will be applicable to him. That means he will get a basic exemption limit of 3 lakhs. That means for the first 3 lakh of his income, he will be charged in nil. But what if the assessee is age 79? Okay, his age is 79 in the previous year 2019-20, and his birthday falls on 1st April 2020, that is in the assessment year, in the first day of the assessment year, then such SSC will not be considered as 79 years, but he will be considered as 80 years. So this slab rate will not be applicable, and this slab rate will be applicable. That means for the previous year 2019-20, Mr. Ram will be considered as super senior citizen instead of senior citizen. Income tax feels that one day does not makes him any smaller. Okay, that's why he should be liable to take the upper basic exemption limit. Okay, upper age limit. Okay, so from 80 years and above, 80 years means if the assessee is 80 years, then this slab rate will be applicable. If the assessee is 60 years or 79 years, that means 60 years to 79 years, it will be applicable under senior citizen slab. But if the assessee age is up to 59 years, from the age of 1 to 59 years, then the normal citizen slab rate will be applicable. Irrespective for non-resident, if non-resident is of whatever age, he will be taxable with this slab only. HEC, we have studied, HEC is applicable for all, like normal resident as well as non-resident also. I'll just keep a marking over here so you understand it. Okay, I hope this is quite clear to you all. I would like to request to the students who are new to this channel to subscribe to this channel, and the students who are already subscribed to this channel and who are also new to this channel, kindly hit a like button to all my videos whichever you are viewing. This will help YouTube to recognize that this particular lectures are good enough, and it will push it to the maximum audience as much as possible. And I would also request you all to share the video lectures, the playlist of my video lectures, to all of your friends who are connected with this CA course. Above here you can see a mobile number besides the UPI apps. So what is this? So basically earlier when I used to teach on YouTube for free of cost, few students used to contact me and used to tell me that, sir, I want to appreciate you in a monetary terms. Please give us your account number so that we can make a monetary contribution to you. So that time I wasn't sure to give them my account details, and that time the UPI apps were also not so much in popular. So that's why they were safe or not, that was also a concern. But after this COVID and the lockdown, the UPI has been commonly used by everyone. So if you want to make a monetary contribution to me, you can make it over here. And I would also request you, if you are making any monetary contribution to me, please send me a screenshot of that so that I can recognize who have made a monetary contribution to me, and I can appreciate them on my social media handles over here, including the YouTube, in my video lectures. And whatever the contribution you are making to this UPI number, it is at your will. There is nothing dramatic about that you have to make a contribution to me. The video lectures are completely free, as well as the notes, and the format book is also free. You can download it from the Telegram group. Just you need to do is you need to join the Telegram group, and from there you can download it. I hope you all make the full use of the video lectures and the direct tax playlist along with the notes as well as the format book, and secure an exemption in CA IPC paper 4 taxation. And I would like to wish you all the best for your future.